People always wonder what happens after you die. No one knows. You know, people pretend to know, but no one knows what happens after you die. But I know what happens to you right after you die. I know what happens directly after you die. You are found. And this is where it gets tricky. And it's always by a loved one, you know? And you don't want your son walking in going, ah, what the fuck? The fuck is dead? What cat? Huh? And that's how you'll be remembered forever, you know? Doesn't matter what else you accomplish in life. See, people are under the misapprehension that that their life is like a motion picture that will be remembered as such, but it's not. It's just a photograph, you know, a still photograph. And that's unfortunately how it is. But, you know, like if you think your son will remember you as, I remember my dad took me to Disneyland in the blistering heat, and by God, he stood in line to get Mickey Mouse's autograph. It took him 2 hours. It was for me. He knew it wasn't the real Mickey Mouse. He had to have. He was an unemployed college kid. And yet he stayed for me. Ha, Dad. He had 2 jobs, you know, to put food on my plate and my brother's and my mom's. 2 jobs. And I remember one time, I'll never forget it, he came home late at night, and I was in bed. I was pretending to be asleep, but I wasn't. And he came in, and he was very quiet, and he came up to me, and he kissed me on that area between my forehead and the bridge of my nose. He kissed me right there, and he said quietly, so as not to wake me, I love you, son. And then he left. And the next day, I wanted to say something to him at breakfast table, but he was already out. He was driving hack. That was his second job. But my God, my dad... Anyways, they don't remember that at all. All they remember is, you know, because... Unfortunately, that's the way human beings are. I came here from Las Vegas, Nevada, and when I was on the air, where do airplanes go from? Airports. I was in the airport, and guys were asking, everyone wanted my ID, and it occurred to me that ID is a strange abbreviation because I is short for I, and then D is short for identification. So seems to me D is doing most of the legwork on that one. But Vegas was cool. They have a motto in Vegas. They got their own slogan for the city. It says, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Which is not true. You know, you can't kill a guy and then just leave, you know? They'll follow you. They'll find you. They'll bring you back and they'll try you in front of a jury of your peers. So I thought, well, what does it mean anyways? You know, and I ruminated about it. Days and days and nights. Sleepless weeks became sleepless more weeks. And finally, it occurred to me. It was so simple. It was right in front of my face the entire time. Whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. All it really means is you can go to Vegas, you can have sex with a prostitute, and she will not tell your wife. They're very discreet, the Las Vegas prostitutes. You know? Not like these gossipy small town whores back where you live, you know? These fucking blabbermouths. Down at the beauty parlor with that pale blue thing over their head, whatever the fuck that is. Going, you're Marge Majerison, John Neal's wife? Well, by God. I took a shit on him last night. In exchange for cash. Nice fella. My favorite thing is the magic phone, you know. I asked my doctor, this is interesting, because I wondered, you know, I know the first two causes of death, heart disease and cancer, neck and neck, you know, to kill you. So I said to the doctor, I said, what's the third most common cause of death? What is the third? And he said, complications. And I was like, that's like the doctor fucking up. Like, how is that the third? That's the third? You know, you go, hey, Doc, I can't help but noticing my father is dead. And I remember yesterday you said it was a simple operation. And he's like, yeah, we thought it was. It looks simple in the book, I'll tell you that. But you cut open a man, by God, it's all this red stringy stuff and everything. Are you a doctor? You go, no, you wouldn't have. Way too complicated for you. But you worry when you get old, you know? You're concerned, scared. I remember my grandmother, you know, she was like, I think she was like 85 at the time or something. And I looked at her, she was sitting on a chair, I said, hey, Grandma, she had a bruise, right? And I went from her wrist all the way up her arm right to her shoulder, a big bruise, purple, green, and yellow. A third of each. And I said, Grandma, where did you get that bruise? And then my grandmother said, the wind. It's like, the wind? And she said, yes, do you remember that gentle breeze yesterday? I was like, yeah, I remember.
We're back. I'm sitting with Norm Macdonald, and now not all your material comes from the news. Is that right? You know.
No, some of my material comes. My strongest material comes from real life.
Real life?
Like, for instance, today I was driving in a car. Mm-hmm. You were kind enough to bring a car to bring this old chunk of coal here to the studio.
We send cars for our guests, yes.
Yeah, so I got in it, and that's, you know, I get material that way. So my driver...
What do you mean? How do you get material that way? You get in the car, and what happens?
My driver tells me a joke.
The driver we sent to pick you up told you a joke?
Yeah.
And you're going to tell it now on the show?
Yeah, that's how I get a lot of my material.
Okay. Why don't we just have him on next time?
That guy... that guy... No, wait till you hear me do it. So the guy, he goes, I say, I'll be the guy.
Okay.
A moth goes into a podiatrist's office.
A moth goes into a podiatrist's office, right?
You are correct. A moth goes into a podiatrist's office, and the podiatrist's office says, what's the problem? And the moth says, what's the problem? Where do I begin, man? He goes, I go to work for Gregory Olinovich, and all day long I work. Honestly, Doc, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I don't even know if Gregory Olinovich knows. He only knows that he has power over me, and that seems to bring him happiness. But I don't know. I wake up in a malaise, and I walk here and there. And the podiatrist says, oh, yeah? And the moth goes, yes. And he goes, at night I sometimes wake up and I turn to some old lady in my bed that's on my arm. A lady that I once loved, Doc. I don't know where to turn to. My youngest, Alexandria. She fell in the cold of last year. The cold took her down, as it did many of us. And my other boy, and this is the hardest pill to swallow, Doc. My other boy, Gregorio Ivanilidovich. I no longer love him. As much as it pains me to say, when I look in his eyes, all I see is the same cowardice that I catch when I take a glimpse of my own face in the mirror. If only the cowardice was stronger, then perhaps I could bring myself to reach over to that cocked and loaded gun that lays on the bedside behind me and end this hellish facade once and for all.
How long a drive was this? Do you live in the valley? Where do you live? Please, sorry.
He says, Doc, sometimes I feel like a spider, even though I'm a moth, just barely hanging on to my web with an everlasting fire underneath me. I'm not feeling good. And so the doctor says, Moth, man, you're troubled. But you should be seeing a psychiatrist. Why on earth did you come here? And then the moth said, because the light was on.
My congratulations to anyone who stuck it through to the end. So Norm.
What?
We're pretty much out of time. No.
Well, listen, it's over.
What's that? Do it. We have. I understand you've been pitching television shows.